Starting your own restaurant in the Hudson Valley Catskills area, in a rural area in general, is something that I feel like so many people dream about. And maybe less, since being a restaurateur has not gotten the total best reputation over the past couple of years, between COVID and challenges hiring and supply chain issues and all of that. And what we have here is a couple, Arif and Sabeen, who did not come from this background and managed to create an incredibly successful, adorable restaurant that is so beloved by the community. And they are selling it now. We have the link right here. These guys are real entrepreneurs at heart and ready for the next challenge. But I thought it would be a great opportunity for them to share about their experience, and also for you guys to ask any of the tough questions you've always wanted to ask about owning a restaurant or owning something upstate. So it looks like we have someone I'm just looking at some of the comments. First of all, I'll say my name is Megan Brenn-White. I am associate real estate broker and the head of the Upstate Curious team of Keller Williams Realty, Hudson Valley North. So I'm the head of a real estate team. I see Katy Porte up there in the corner. You want to wave, Katy? You guys can send her secret messages or just write to Katy, Katy, at upstatecurious.com if you have any questions about the listing. And yeah, I wanted to decide to ask people to type in some things about who's here and what they're interested in. So I live on the slightly less exciting side of the river. I mean, there's exciting stuff going on there too. In Sparrow Bush, software developer looking to make a career change and have a few siblings interested in a new venture. Husband and I have a house in Saugerties and 2 restaurants in Brooklyn. Have always been curious about opening something upstate. Newark, NJ, originally Houston, HR professional, worked in restaurants and hospitality. Erin wants to just, cheer on Arif and Sabeen. The deep fried olives may have sealed the deal on her property. I cannot tell you as a real estate agent how important it is to have an amazing place to bring people to eat. So this is great. So let's first introduce Arif and Sabeen. Could you guys say a little bit about yourself? Really just, if you could say a little bit about yourself and how that, I mean, I'm trying to keep this a short question, but how your background led to you guys opening this adorable restaurant. Go.
Sure. Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Sabeen. I was trained as an architect, so definitely not hospitality industry. I did once design a sushi restaurant, so that maybe was my closest tangential relation to the restaurant industry. Arif and I got married in 2016 and moved to the Hudson Valley, not really knowing a huge amount about this specific area. Do you want to introduce your?
Sure. My name is Arif. I grew up about an hour south of here in Rockland County, but lived in a bunch of places. Lived in Portland, Oregon for 15 years, Manhattan, and other places around the world. I was managing disaster relief projects, which I suppose prepared me for opening a restaurant. Those are on a larger scale. But I guess 20 years ago, I wanted to open up a restaurant in Portland, and it was going to be a modern Indian restaurant, put together, solid business plan. It was going to kill. It was in a perfect location. And then I talked to my friends, and I guess I talked to my more sensible friends that talked me out of it. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. So I listened to them then, but after meeting Sabeen,
so in 2016, we got married. Mid-September, we moved to this area 2 days after we got married to a rental. It was a 9-month lease, and we just wanted to get a sense of where to be. I'm sure, as you all know, in the Hudson Valley, there are so many potential places to live, and it's so hard to choose. And we thought, let's do this 9-month lease. We'll get a lay of the land, and we'll figure out what we want to do. And we were looking to buy a house, but a couple of things sort of didn't work out, and there was this abandoned roadside bar that we would pass almost every day, and so we kind of just became curious about it, and called the number in the window. There were actually a couple of false starts, but it was really as random as that, us even considering opening a restaurant. And we were, by a neighbor, introduced to the owner at the time. The place had been closed for 4 years, and had just been sitting vacant when we bought it. So we bought it in February of 2017 and opened in May. So
we're kind of accidental restaurateurs.
I mean, I gotta say that being an accidental restaurateur is not something that probably happens in Manhattan or Brooklyn or Portland anymore, given the high cost of entry to these things, you know? So, and I think that's one of the things that to me is so exciting about, wait, let me just share this listing real quick now that you guys, and again, everybody asks questions the whole time. I'm going to be moderating the questions, so these guys don't have to, like, you know, whatever, listen to, you know, be reading and talking at the same time. But this is obviously not what this looked like. This restaurant was, you know, had been abandoned for, like you said, I mean, abandoned is maybe the wrong term, but had not been in functioning use for 4 years. And now, but even back then, I think that, I mean, that's still a pretty big risk, right? To take on. I mean, this is an apartment here. So did you guys, I can't even remember this now, but did you guys live up in that apartment while you were doing this? Or
yeah, I mean, that's how we convinced ourselves to do it, because as Sabeen said, we were looking to buy a house and there's a 2-bedroom apartment above it. So we're like, all right, if the restaurant fails, we still have a place to live. So yeah, we did live there for the first 3 years.
I think we moved in June when our 9-month lease had ended. And then we were up there for about 2.5 years. And we loved it.
I mean, the apartment is
was,
super cute now too. So I don't know. I mean, it's not like, it's definitely not like a terrible place to live, although different than buying a house in the Hudson Valley. But this, I think, is I mean, this to me is like the opportunity. Then there's, if there is another couple like you guys, or I don't want to say couple, fair housing, if there are any people of any sort, anything who would want to do like a live work situation, especially when starting out, or use that for employee housing, have the chef live there, use it as an Airbnb. I mean, to me, that apartment makes the risk of having just the restaurant, it just like mitigates that a lot, because there's this other whole extra source of income. And, you know, you're looking at $699,000 for the whole shebang here, for the business, the real estate, everything, you know? So it's, to me, this is a business that, and you guys, I mean, you could give your opinion on this, but like, if people, I know people love it as it is, so somebody could absolutely just take it over and get the recipes. Is that how?
Do you want to take this?
Yeah, I mean, our staff, you know, we let them know prior to listing, and a number of them have been with here. One of them has been with us for over 4 years. And they're all really invested in the place and have strong relationships with our regular customers. And, you know, on occasion when we have gone away for vacation, they really do treat it like their own, and they are keen on staying. They're keen on remaining a part of the community here. So that, you know, would include, like, you know, our bartender and her homemade syrup recipes and, you know, cocktail menu, our chef with, you know, the current menu. And I mean, all of that also is to say that over the course of the years, we have had various chefs. And I think that there is room to make it your own as well. So
yeah, basically, I mean, it really is as turnkey as can be. If you buy it today, tomorrow you'll be profitable. You know, it's like, oh, let's say next week. We're not open tomorrow. Yeah, everything comes with.
So that's why, you know, that's the question that we've heard, and which makes sense, is like, if you have this profitable business and it's running so smoothly, why would you want to sell it?
Fair question.
I have my answer.
Well, I guess, you know, one one part of it is that, Arif and I both have other professional careers. We've maintained one foot in both of those careers the entire time we've been open. And we would like to take on other projects. So that's really the heart of it. And if you want to add anything.
I like starting things. I don't like maintaining, and more of a testament to that, I was complaining to one of our regulars. I was like, oh, it's too busy. I don't like it tonight. It's like no business person says that. It was just a good indication that I was like, oh, I don't really care to make more money from this business or improve it in a way it could be improved. So it's like, it feels like if we get out of the way and have someone come in who knows what they're doing, there's a lot of room for improvement and, I don't know, making more money.
Right. So the first obvious way to grow the business, which I think it's poised to do at this point, is to increase the hours that we're open. Currently, we're open Thursday through Sunday. We only do 4 hours of dinner service, and on Sundays, it's actually only 3 hours. So that's a pretty limited time that we're open. And because Arif and I have other things that we'd like to be doing with our time.
Which include playing with our cat. Like, I'm sometimes more motivated by
Wait, so it's 15. I've never added it up before. So it's 15 hours a week that it's open. Is that no, that's not right.
Yeah. So it's open 15 hours a week, and Arif and I just don't want to spend any more time during the week, expanding hours. There's tremendous opportunity to do off-site catering, but those are things that neither of us is really interested in. So that's really the heart of it.
I know Katie and I are obsessed with the brunch idea for you guys for there. Oh, Katie, you look like you want to put a pitch for brunch. Go.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things that's been so fun to talk about with this is that with basically 4 short dinner services, you're like making it work, and just the sort of room for expansion is kind of endless here. Even just adding in like 2 short brunch services ahead of your Saturday and Sunday dinner, just thinking of how many people are like driving to the gunks and like out there hiking, and then also just with the venues in the area, which I know you've already, you do things like you'll host a rehearsal dinner party before, like the night before a wedding at Audrey's farmhouse or something like that. But just there's so many great things in the area to also bounce off of. And I know you have like really good relationships with with the surrounding businesses. A few people have asked separately that I've been emailing with about this ahead of time, about how you feel within the community, bringing this place back to life, like what the community response was like. Not to jump into a question part, but that was just something that came up a bit.
That is actually, that's a nice.
Yeah.
How did the community respond? Like newcomers opening a new thing?
Yeah, I mean, we were concerned about that. Like, when we looked into the history of the place, we found out it has a pretty amazing history. It's been called the Hoot Owl since 1946.
Somebody asked if the name would stay, and the name, obviously, anything can stay, right? They can have.
Yeah, anything can stay. Interesting, we went to like one of these business advisor people, and they're like, oh, that place has a bad reputation. When it was open, you really should change the name. And we're like, I don't know, that made us double down on keeping the name. So the place was a brothel, a biker bar. They were dealing heroin and coke out of here in the 80s. And I apologized to some of the older customers that come around, and I'm like, sorry, we're just do dinner and drinks. Yeah.
A little more clean cut.
Right. So it's like, there's incredible history here. The building was built 1856, right? And we dug into that. So with any historical place, there's a nostalgia for how it was, but then most people, and I guess we have a certain clientele, they're just like grateful that the place is open and they can bring their family here, and they can bring, like their parents here. And a lot of people come in and they're looking around and they have like these memories of the place, and they just most people are just really grateful, including our immediate neighbors, which is so cool. Like, we have like neighbors that do stuff for us without even asking. So by and large, it's just gratitude, I'd say. I'm sure there's haters, but they don't come in, so fuck them, right?
Well,
like there's,
Also,
Actually,
I feel like you guys have done that. I mean, to me, you have managed to find that, like, to kind of thread that needle, to have a place that is like a really good mix of like people who are born in the area and like work locally, and then weekenders and newcomers. And that to me is actually pretty unique. And I think we would have heard, I mean, yeah, you're right. There could be somebody secretly hating on Hoot Owl by themselves at home. Fine. Maybe.
Right.
But not that matters, but
Forget about
there are
this.
other places that have opened up where people have been, much more vocal about it, or you would have heard if people were upset. I don't think they are. I think people,
I mean, I think that was our specific goal, is trying to do this thing you're not supposed to do. It's like trying to create a place for multiple kinds of people. You're supposed to have your target market and focus on them, but we wanted, we had Budweiser on tap for whatever, $3, and we wanted a mix of folks around here and people to feel comfortable, and
But
and
we
I think we
quickly
got
learned
that.
that folks that were drinking Budweiser preferred it out of a bottle anyway. But
Yeah.
so we've learned things, I would say, like that along the way. We've tried to, like, we have burgers and wings on the menu. We've tried to do something that's easy, but then also, we'll have folks that occasionally will try the chicken curry, and they've never had that type of food before. So it's been, I think it's just been a safe place, for lack of a better term, for everyone to, meet neighbors that maybe they wouldn't have interacted with otherwise. I mean, we've had folks come in that maybe lived a couple of doors down from another family and just never interacted with them, and now they see each other regularly here. So that's been a really cool thing to see and be a part of.
well, because you don't tend to walk 2 doors down and like knock on the door and introduce yourself, like maybe the folks on either side or whatever. But to me, that is like those kind of gathering spaces, particularly in rural communities. I mean, also in the city, obviously, but like, that's where people, but up here, there's so many fewer people that if you meet them, like if you have a place like Hoot Owl where people are going every, Friday or Saturday or whatever, and you start to see each other, and then sometimes you're sitting next to each other and ask what they're eating. And I mean, we've absolutely met people in restaurants like that, like just, it's important. I think it's really,
like the diversity thing. Sometimes I feel like we get more diversity of exposure here than if we lived in Manhattan, in a weird way. Like, I'll look at the bar or the restaurant, I'll be like, okay, there's a Jehovah's Witness, there's David Bowie's guitarist, there's a heavy equipment operator, there's, like this famous author, and there's just our other neighbor. And it's just like super cool. Yeah.
well, we are getting a ton of questions here, like practical stuff. So I'm going to jump into some of this. And, but I think that, well, we'll get into it because a lot of people are asking about like what, what it could be like, so someone asked, will the staff stay? Which obviously you guys cannot write that into a contract that the staff is like, they are.
Everyone is still stay.
At will employees, but they want to stay is the understanding, right?
Most of our staff lives within 2-3 miles, more or less.
Yeah.
So, I think it's in their interest as well at this point to stay because it's super convenient.
And somebody asked if you can share the operating costs, but I think that the real question would be, and I'm going to put Katy's email here. I don't know how much you guys want to get into financials on this call. Otherwise, you can definitely write to Katy at upstatecurious.com, and she can share way more information about the details. Oh, here we go. Food or labor costs. Someone is asking.
Right?
Do you want to
So
share,
I'll
like, do you
tell
want to
you,
do like a top line sort of financials?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know if people on this call are, I think it's a mixed bag, right? Folks who've never had restaurants and some people in the business, but there's like a rule of thumb, 30-30-30-10 in full service restaurants, 30% labor costs, 30% cost of goods, your food and your beverage costs, 30% other overhead, which would be like your typically rent and utilities and towel service, and then 10% profit, right? So what we're doing, 10% is the low end. Typically, you want to be around 15 to 20% profit, but it's just a quick rule of thumb, and we're around 20% profit, and maybe because we don't have high overhead of a Manhattan or a Brooklyn venue. So we're on track for gross sales to do between 500 and 600,000 a year. And our net profit's around 20%. We are keeping our food costs around 28%, labor's around 30%. Let's see. Yeah, and I think our overhead is right. It's 20. It's like lower than the 30.
Well, and this is just, and keep in mind for anybody listening, this is just for the restaurant business. So you have you have the apartment also,
right,
which could either generate income or be something that's used for the staff. So,
right. The apartment rent.
Yeah, go on.
Right. So we're $150 a night on Airbnb, which neighbors have told us is low because other neighbors who have Airbnbs are charging a lot more. But and we've also rented out per month to other neighbors. So I think we do 1,200 plus utilities on that.
So that's, so you're already talking about being at, I think the 20% profitability, 20% profit and 500 to 600K gross income, right? That's the gross. And that's being open 15 hours a week. So just to be, again, like this is where, to me, it's, who knows, like maybe the area can only support another 7 hours a week, but like it could also possibly support 30 hours a week. Like that's sort of the thing that the next person can play with. But I think that is pretty remarkable, especially considering that it doesn't take into consideration any of the income.
One thing I was going to say.
Sorry, someone brought up, I read the question popped up about, is it viable? Like, so we have done brunches and they've worked, like especially Sunday would be sometimes, Sunday brunch is sometimes busier than Sunday dinner. But somewhere along the line, we made a decision that we wanted our days free, all our days free. Wednesday, I think if you can do something special, we had talked about if Wednesday, we've been open Wednesdays and they were decent, but again, we wanted that day free.
I think after COVID, so we did close for about a year during COVID. And I think at that time, similar to a lot of people kind of rethinking when we reopened, we actually did a slow start to reopen because we really didn't know what was going to happen. So we started 2 nights a week.
Just Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, then we added Sunday first. I don't know. We added Sunday and Thursday along the way. And once we realized our sales were actually higher than they had ever been before, we were like, well, why not just not open on Wednesday?
In a way, it was like, this is enough for us, right? Like, this is enough income.
Right. And so I would say for us, like moving forward, it would either be open Wednesday night, do something that's maybe a themed or special event, or Sunday brunch.
I think there's also an opportunity to adjust your hours based on seasonality. Like in the summer, you could throw a Monday lunch or dinner service in there. There's a ton of people stay through Monday in the summer in the warmer months. So I think it doesn't even have to be a year-round adjustment, but just like tweaking your operating hours a little bit based on seasonality.
I've talked to other restaurateurs who experience that seasonality. It's like our seasonality is not that extreme. Like, so I was looking at our monthly numbers. So like May through September, we're around 50,000 a month gross sales, and then November, and it looks like December will be closer to 40,000. So it's less, but it's not that much lower. And I think because we have the locals, like, and this is the one thing, like, I don't like being in a position, but like in summer and fall, like our regulars or locals would come in and they weren't used to making reservations before COVID, but now if they don't have a reservation, we have to turn them away. And it's like this awkward thing. I think people get annoyed, but But yeah, because we have that strong local following in addition to the kind of weekender.
Mhm.
And somebody had asked if you guys were open year round. And there's another question actually related, which is how many outdoor seats do you have? And I'm going to do a second question, which is like, do you think that could be expanded, or is there like,
Sure. So try to get all three questions. So first, we are open more or less year round. We usually take a week off at the end of January. And we've taken, for the past couple of years, we've been taking a week off in August. So we'll do like a midsummer break and then a midwinter break. We currently, for outdoor seating, have 12 seats. We have we have a small patio on the front. We recently expanded our side yard into additional patio seating, and we could fit up to another 10 seats up there.
oh, when you guys thought about doing something across the way also maybe, right? Or is that like, would that be?
That was something we considered as well. So for anyone that's looked at the survey and just the drawings of the overall property, it's a little bit odd, but there is a parcel that's across the street that is stream side, which is quite nice. So we have a parking lot there. We recently, I guess 4 years ago now, planted a bunch of trees there. And so there's a really pleasant space that's next to a stream that could accommodate some other additional either seating, or I think we've talked to musicians about doing, some sort of music thing out there by the stream. There's a number of things that could happen. I think our chef at one point wanted to put a smoker out there. It could be like a second pop-up sort of thing that happens that supplements. So in a way, it's more seating, more sales. Possibly, we're selling drinks out there, but the food is something that's maybe separate from our kitchen. So I think there's many ways to do it, but definitely opportunity there as well.
And we also have the backyard where we've done pop-up events. Mm-hmm. We've done a pig roast, a crawfish boil. Mm-hmm. So how many people can we get at a time? I know we had like 70 come through.
I think, yeah, we had between 70 and 80 come through. And I think for both of those events, we had multiple seatings.
Just in the back area.
The backyard.
Yeah, in the backyard.
Yeah, it feels like
for one of them.
It's a lot of
tried
space
it different ways. Yeah, no, there's definitely, it's pleasant back there. There's, we have a vegetable garden that we had set up when we were living upstairs. So that's still there with an irrigation system and everything.
And it's like, and I mean, the road is quiet. So it's like right after like a turnoff, like kind of a turnoff where a lot of people like, they drive on that road and then they like take a left right before the restaurant kind of. So you get people driving by, but it is by no means like an annoyingly busy, it's like very pretty rural. Mm-hmm. And especially the little side road that goes alongside your back. Super cute also. Ooh, here's an existential question. I like this one, kind of. How much space is there for a new owner to innovate while still honoring the team and community that are in place? What's your vision for new ownership you'd feel good about making a handoff to? Could you see any friction arise as a result of menu changes or team expansion?
Well, so I guess I was kind of alluding to this earlier. We as owners have never been super heavy-handed in what the menu design was, and so over the years it has evolved. And there's been, I think Aaron had brought up our deep fried olives, which we actually haven't had on the menu for a while. But we have these amazing harvest pancakes now, and I think that part of the magic of this place has been that people are really along for the ride at this point and have, they've. To us, it's equal parts about great food and just having a really strong community welcoming vibe. So I don't know, to me, I feel that as long as that welcoming spirit is here and, that's what people are really coming for. And I think that as long as you're putting out good food, people are here for it.
And the chef is kind of willing to either stay or not stay. Is that I don't know if that's like a tricky question.
She wants to stay.
She wants to stay. Yeah.
As long as you're not a jerk, right? That's really it, right? Like you're a reasonable person. well, maybe you have to be somewhat unreasonable to buy a restaurant. I don't know. Everyone has expressed interest in staying. So,
Right.
but they're also prepared that if someone comes in, like if a chef owner comes in,
Yeah.
right, there's,
That's a possibility.
so yeah, that's why we told our staff a month ago, 2 months ago or something. Yeah. So we're like, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, a chef owner can come in and obviously they'll cook or not, but or a bartender owner will come in and maybe that's 1 or 2 less shifts for front of house. Someone else asked about staffing. So we have in the back of house, we have a chef, a sous chef, and a dishwasher.
Also a prep cook.
And then a prep cook on Wednesdays. But I mean, basically it's full-time chef, 3/4 time sous chef, 3/4 time dishwasher, and 10 hours a week for the prep cook. Front of house, we have a bartender, a server, and 2 floaters. So the floaters take care of like hosting, busing, running food. And so we've got a lot of redundancy in the front of house, whereas like each person has like 1 to 2 shifts, maybe someone has 3. No, I think everyone has like 1 to 2 shifts right now. So there's a lot of coverage, which is something we learned along the way, because you don't want to be crippled if one person is not feeling well. Or,
I think especially with COVID, I think that was a big lesson learned for us reopening was like, you just, you have to have that redundancy and be able to call on someone else in a pinch. So having more staff that's able to, we have server and bartender roles for us. Ideally, the bartender is willing to wait tables if they have to, and the server can mix drinks too, because it just is the nature of the industry these days. And again, not knowing if someone's going to get COVID or some other illness possibly.
And halfway through, we moved to tip pooling, which has worked really well. I know a lot of people in the industry don't like that, but for our kind of place, it works well. And you can tell, I think people like the staff we have work really well together. So there's not this weird tension between different staff. So, and I think our customers pick up on that. So, yeah.
How has it been getting?
It's nice. I mean, I was just going to add that, when they are going through their tips at the end of the night, they do debrief about it and they talk through, what happened with different customers and stuff. So I think there's that other benefit as well.
And yes to Georgia.
Yeah. 40 hours is, full-time, 3/4, 25.
A lot of times in this industry, chefs full-time is like 60 to 70, but we're not that. Our chef is 45 probably hours a week.
Someone had asked if you offer delivery or if there's a market for that in this area.
We considered it during COVID, especially when we did takeout for a bit. We thought about it. Just is, we have people ask on occasion. It feels like a lot of logistics that,
One model to do it is if we did like orders from Wildflower or Audrey,
right.
Like we coordinate it with them, because the folks staying at Wildflower, they might not want to eat at that restaurant all 3 nights. So if we had some more strategic way to do it versus kind of one-offs.
I think that's well, and I think that what I understand from other restaurants up here is that the challenge, one of the challenges with delivery is obviously if you get a bunch of orders at the same time that you're as busy in the dining area, your kitchen's only so big, but also because everybody lives so far apart that you could say we'll drive within 15 minutes or whatever, but that means that delivery person is gone for a half an hour and you can't, there's not unlimited supply of delivery people here. So
yeah,
right.
So that's why I was thinking something more strategic could work. But...
Well, or even even just I guess you don't do takeout, because takeout I think is
we do sometimes. So we do.
We've had to. So I'm speaking to what you were just saying. When like the month of October, we barely did takeout, and it was that, we're full, we have people waiting at the door. We're not gonna be able to fulfill a takeout order, and so we'll decline. But if it's 5 p.m. on a Thursday and someone calls in an order, yes, we will. We try to fulfill them as much as possible, but it does get to be difficult when you have a small kitchen and a full dining room. And for us, I think there's just that decision of we want to make sure that people that are in the door have the best experience possible.
I think so there's another interesting question from Georgia, which is one of the areas I think could be expanded, which is how much of your business is retail? Because you have the whole, I assume you mean that the area that's like in the front, that's sort of like gifty.
Yeah, we could definitely do better. Right now, all we have is swag, because I don't know, I like ordering products with our logo on it. But yeah, certainly, like, we could be doing jams and jellies and honeys and local stuff and local things. So it's not a bit, it's like 5% of our sales, or maybe less, maybe a lot, maybe less.
I mean, honestly, your location, you could also be doing dried pasta. I mean, you could be doing, you know what I mean? It could be like a little mini fancy store.
I mean, really, yeah, the potential of this place, as we said, it's like, so we're open 4 nights a week. So there's all this excess capacity, as you'd say, with both the restaurant and the kitchen. So, we thought, can we bring in someone else here during the day that has this, use as ghost kitchen or whatever, or another product or packaged goods. I think the reality is that we both don't feel motivated to do that. That's why we thought.
I'd like that. I would just like to say, for the record, that these two are portraying themselves as people who just like sit around playing with cats and like whatever, staring out a window all the time, when in fact,
what I do.
they have so many other projects and things going on that it's like, it is actually their version. I think that, I mean, I get, you do a little bit of hashtag upstate living, but your version of like, just like relaxing might be more similar to people in the restaurant business in general than pre-retirement or something. So I think that's important that, I don't know how to put this, because I don't know that, but I think that for people who want to come, who are in this area, or maybe they're new to the exact area where you guys are, and sort of like, and they want to become part of the community, then being at that restaurant, greeting people is like, I feel like you guys are like literally the singular mayor, or the 2 mayors of like that little neck of the woods. Cause it's just,
well,
I don't
Megan,
know,
you're like
it's
the
so
queen of the Hudson Valley, and we're like, we have this one little domain over here.
No, but it's so, it's such a nice, it's so nice to see you because I think that that's one of the things that for some people, I mean, the money has to work out, but you've already proven that the money works here. Do you know what I mean? Like, even without the rental, like that all works. There's opportunities, there's flexibility. You have a good staff that wants to stay. You have connections. I know that, and it's really important to say that you guys can also help in some capacity as the new people are getting set up. So you're not just going to like throw the keys at the door and like, walk off. And my guess is, and I should have asked you this before the Zoom, but they might be able to hire you on a consulting basis if it gets beyond where, a friendly few questions are like helpful. But I've seen how organized you are. So, and how ready you are to hand this off in a very organized way to somebody new. And, so then it just leaves the question of like, what's it going to feel like to do this? And based on what you guys, I don't know, seeing how much you love this and how much people love you, it feels pretty good to, if you're moving to a new area. I can't imagine a way to meet people more easily.
Yeah, he's definitely like met tons of friends, and we've gotten consulting work out of the restaurant, that was our joke to our immigrant parents when they were like, dismayed and disappointed at us opening up a restaurant, yet having master's degrees or whatever. I think that was the line. And so my line to both our parents was like, oh no, this is a way for us to get our consulting work, and the weird thing is that actually come true. So we're willing to help or get out of the way. I think I think getting out of the way, and like I said, as
Yeah.
long as whoever buys it is not a jerk, I think you will do well. And it's like we mentioned, we had no restaurant. I worked in restaurants as a waiter in my 20s, but we'd never managed a restaurant. Sabeen's never worked in a restaurant, but we have access to the internet, so we Googled how to run a restaurant, and it's a wealth of knowledge out there, So I think folks can figure out if they're willing, if they're whatever problem solvers.
I think there's
That's the
also a
thing.
really nice community of other business owners in this area and
Yeah.
other
yeah.
restaurant owners who are totally happy to share. And like, somebody asked if there's a lot of or if there's some competition in your area that have like similar menu. And I guess it's sort of hard upstate to define what your area is in a way, because it's like, I feel like anything within 15 to 20 minutes is like your neighborhood for driving.
Right.
But people will drive an hour to go to a restaurant they like, so
Yeah.
it's
And that being said, there are a couple of other restaurants within 20 minutes, whatever, but there's people who are, we're still getting new customers who live like a quarter mile away because we're a little out of the way. They're like, oh, I didn't know you guys reopened from the old Hoot Owl. So it's been like
Right.
5 years.
Or the old place really did have a very strong reputation. So,
Right.
So
we're still getting new customers. Like, so we haven't like penetrated even this local area. Like, we're still getting new neighbors. And then obviously there's all the people that have been moving up here that don't know about us yet.
well, and that's the thing. So if you guys, and I think so you have been super busy, so you haven't needed to do a lot of other things, but there's opportunities.
We're
to
pretty lazy. We haven't done any paid. No, we, as far as like marketing, we've done no paid advertising.
I was just in like the local papers, to be like, here's our, whatever, we're doing brunch now or something, like, so that the people who are there would know that you are open and no longer selling crack from the attic, unless,
But you know what we've done, which is like a lesson for other restaurateurs, they don't know it. Like, what we have done is like donated to the firehouse, where I'm a member of the volunteer firehouse. We've donated to the Lions. Like, I think that stuff it's great. It's like stuff we want to support, but I think that's the advertising.
It puts you out there. Last January, we joined the local Lions Club curling tournament, having never curled before, and we're actually very excited to do it again in the next few weeks. But we met all sorts of folks there for the first time, or that had heard about us, and some of our, since reopening, a number of folks that come in pretty religiously now, we met at that event. So just being out there,
that is like literally, I feel like that is just the secret to success for any business up here. It's so much, it's so much word, maybe anywhere, but it's so much word of mouth. And I think that actually what you just said is joining those kind of organizations like the volunteer firefighters, or like working with the Lions Club, those ones that is actually often one of the divides between newcomers and locals, people who are kind of born there. I think that is, it's a smart business. It's a smart business thing to do. And it's also just a really great as being a new member of the community to meet people like that. So,
and I also like Instagram. Like, we had a friend who was like a big Instagram influencer, whatever. They have 150,000 followers and stuff. And they're like, well, your place is not Instagrammable. And I was like annoyed. And then I get annoyed that other restaurants have more Instagram followers. But I was like, I don't know if that's our, like, like our Instagram, like, we haven't put a lot of effort and thought into it, but I don't know if that's a bad thing. But there's obviously, if we had a better Instagram game, that would help attract people.
Honestly, I feel like it's like, this is sort of, there's no criticism, obviously, because this is how you guys have chosen to do it. And you've been very conscious about your decisions with this business and very thoughtful about it in a lot of ways, even when you're open or not open and trying things and seeing what's working and the Wednesday and that, all this stuff. But to me, it's like, I look at all that stuff and I just see opportunity for the next person. I'm like, whoa, there's only, this many, or there's not this, or there's nothing on this night, or there's this, whatever. as a fellow entrepreneur who also doesn't like maintaining things as much as I like starting them, you know, that's where that gets those juices flowing in terms of all the potential to build on what you've already done. So I guess, does anybody have any other burning questions? I think I've covered everything. Obviously, Katy is, you know, Katy at upstatecurious.com. You guys can reach out to us any possible way if you want the survey. Oh, question about, right, Georgia, sorry. Has it been hard to find suppliers and repairs? I do remember that one.
Let's break down what suppliers are, like food suppliers, like equipment repair.
Actually, I did mean to. Did you mean like contractors or food suppliers? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've like
both.
I think someone buying a small place like this should be willing to be able to fix minor things. Like, you shouldn't, like, I don't know. There's a lot of troubleshooting in the restaurant business, right? There's a lot of moving parts. So like minor things or troubleshooting them is, if you have to call someone for everything, then I don't know, that's going to eat away at a lot of your profit, right? But
like a clogged
right?
sink or something is what you're.
But that, yeah, like little things like a clog or a, you know, whatever, something, things happen, right? The point of sale thing is not working right, or the internet's down, right? So it's like, so in like being able to stay on top of the minor things, or maintaining the filters and the refrigeration, but then like the minor things we do, and the major things, we've got an HVAC refrigeration guy, we've got an electrician, we've got a plumber, we've got, I mean,
we have
pretty reliable.
You know, we have a linen service. We have, you know, we have a carpenter that, you know, so you over time we've met various folks. A number of them from, you know, through the restaurant. Our refrigeration person is actually another volunteer firefighter who comes, you know, and it's like, you know, this is what you need to do every spring. It's a simple 2-minute thing, and it keeps the, you know, so there's stuff like that, you know, and we've found, I think once you kind of know what those regular maintenance things are that need to happen like every 6 months or every year, whatever, like a lot of those things are super simple and you can do them yourselves. And so that just kind of helps to be aware.
I mean, we've got, I don't know how to answer this question anymore, but we've got like all the tradespeople that we need. There's not someone missing. I mean, there was, yeah, I mean, maybe the HVAC one was until we found now we have like 3 different ones that are like on call, but there was a time where like we couldn't find someone. It was a time where everyone was busy. Maybe it was more COVID-y time.
Also, with the vendors and daily operations, that's information that will transfer with the sale. Yeah. So it's like you've got the guidebook, you've got the people, they've already established the relationship. So that's like a real
willing to share everything we've got. Like, you know, we've got a handbook, and Megan, you're mentioning about supportive businesses. We basically, another restaurant shared their employee handbook with us, and so we
use that as a template,
copy and paste it, but yeah, we can share all contacts with providers, our meat purveyor. You know, we mix things between different providers for food.
Well, and there's so many, I mean, that's the, you know, for those of you who don't know this exact area, I mean, you're kind of like between the Rondout Valley and like the Black Dirt, you know, sort of area, more like in Orange County. And it's like, you're very close to some of the like really, really best farmland in the whole Hudson Valley. And I think that is I don't know how much you guys buy from local folks. I know that would be a lot more, you know, work, but that is something that for sure lends itself.
We've mixed it. We haven't done all local, but we, you know, especially in the summer, we do mix from farms and stuff. And there's a mushroom farm operation we get a lot of our like more exotic mushrooms from, but yeah, a lot of it's seasonal.
Well, and I also just, I just posted a link to our app, which I just wanted, in case any of you guys don't know. I mean, so first of all, we're also here to like help, you know, I mean, not like with every aspect of running a restaurant business, clearly, but when we can, we also want to support new businesses and are happy to like promote them on Instagram or do a little giveaway or whatever we can do. But the app has become, to me, like the safety net. Like, let's say Arif and Sabeen have like worked really hard and they've gotten this great list of vendors, which they have. So that is like gold for this restaurant, because it's like, for this restaurant, these people are willing to turn up and whatever. But let's say one of them moves away, the electrician does or whatever, and you need to find another person. The app, I just checked, and it's also just called Upstate Curious. It has over 6,000 members now. And that is, we basically created it to be able to crowdsource things like this. So people can go, we need someone to, I don't know, reupholster our benches or something really specific. Who knows anyone? And because it covers such a big area, and a lot of, in this case, people might be willing to travel pretty far to get something done like that, or if it's a really specialized service. So that is something that I would say that, I don't know, has made me feel so much calmer for all of our homeowners, future homeowner clients. And also I would say for people in this situation too, it just is, people almost always get answers there. It's kind of wild. So not always, but almost. So,
there was one more question. I know we're probably winding down, just about the experience of living above the restaurant while for the time that you were doing that, which is something I had also asked about. Just, I was thinking of like living above a restaurant in Brooklyn that's open, basically 24 hours a day.
Did you, they're sort of asking like, would you recommend it or would you do it again?
I would, especially if I was, again, first time restaurant owner, just being close by. And then when you're ready to have a little bit more space, it's there to rent out, but it certainly makes for a really convenient commute when you just have to hop up the stairs. And
you could do it in the middle of service.
We would do that when it, before COVID, was really when we were hitting our stride. And we wouldn't be down here during a busy service. And we could sort of tell by the sound that like there was just this energy, and maybe we should pop in and check things out. But it was certainly convenient in that way.
And everyone, I don't know, like I got feedback that the pictures don't do it justice. The apartment upstairs, everyone who stayed there is like, this has been really nice, and I didn't know what to expect, blah, blah, blah. But so yeah, we liked it. There's a lot of light up there. And if you're running the restaurant, it's quiet when you're up there versus like when the restaurant's closed, it's quiet. And if you're down working in the restaurant, don't hear because you're in there.
I think and it's not, well, let me put it a different way. So living above a restaurant in New York City that's open 24 hours a day is a different situation in so many ways, but also upstate, like nature always wants to get into everything also, just like it does in the city, but it's generally not like, cat-sized rats that are, it's like, and every house is going to have weird, like, Asian lady beetle infestations and mice and like everything that wants to just like tear your house back down to the ground. So you just kind of like used to that stuff here in a different way. And it's less like swarms of, nasties. So not to say that, I'm not like making any promises that you'll never see, like, I don't know. I've never seen it. Do we have rats here? Actually, now I don't even know. Literally never seen our
all sorts of.
We have a pest control service, and they
manage
that.
things.
When we had our cat here.
We had a cat when we still have her. She stayed with us upstairs, so she was our chief
pest control
officer. She did a fine job.
But that's what I tell everybody here. Like, it's not like buying an apartment in Brooklyn. If you buy a house up here, like we recommend to all our clients to get quarterly pest control. Like get one of those like year-long contracts, because literally nature is all over here. And it's like, could be some whatever mole trying to dig under your deck or whatever it is. But I think this is the thing. If you have the right people and they're looking at the right things, like you said, like you do have to do something to your refrigeration system every 6 months, and then it's probably okay for a really long time. It's just the same thing. You just kind of like do that regular maintenance and it's fine. Oh, we had one other question from Georgia. Do you have a cleaning service, or does the dishwasher clean the restaurant?
No and no. Well, our front of house, our server and bartenders clean the front of house, and our dishwasher cleans the back of house and the walk-in and all that. So we don't have a
Yeah.
cleaning service.
The kitchen staff actually on Sunday nights does a deep clean every week. You know, there's things like which I wouldn't know if I wasn't in the restaurant industry, like in the kitchen, they empty out all the coolers, put everything into the walk-in refrigeration and clean, you know, those things inside out too on Sunday. So there's like, you know, there's the whole process to that.
Yeah.
But,
So our
yeah.
normal staff does everything, and they do a good job.
Is there anything, Arif and Sabeen, that you guys want to say to wrap this up? Is there anything that we haven't covered or that?
I think that we're willing to help if someone wants help or guidance, and if they want us to get out of the way, we're willing to get out of the way. Because, like we said, like we had no experience, so we kind of just figured out along the way. And there's probably a lot of things we're not thinking of that could be improved. You know, I don't know, wine lists or menu engineering, all these other things that a professional could come in and do a great job. So we have no desire to be micromanaged. Even when we're managing the restaurant, we don't micromanage. So if we don't own the restaurant,
Yeah, you guys aren't going to be all sensitive about, you're not going to go in and
no.
protest menu changes, basically.
You know, but like I said, if you're a jerk, then I'll be annoyed. But if because I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think
there's a lot
that
of
the
opportunity.
like everything that you're talking about your staff and everything you've said about how they want to stay and how they're like that. I mean, that's about you guys. I mean, that's about not being jerks, I think.
Yeah, we try. That's in our employee handbook. Actually said don't be a dick, but
Don't be a
clean
dick.
it up.
Don't do it. Well, thank you. So, okay. So again, Katy Porte right there, Katy, Katy at upstatecurious.com. If you have any questions, or Katy, what's your cell phone number? I'll type it here. Or you can type it there. You're just like typing away. Great. I am Megan, Arif and Sabeen. If anybody has any, like I said, these guys are super organized, have a ton of information. So they're very happy to share all that. And otherwise, I'm really glad you all joined us today. And we are all looking forward to seeing who the new owner is going to be. It's very exciting every time conversations get started. And, you know, we're kind of like, what's going on? And I'm sure everybody in the neighborhood is, you know, also going to be sad to miss you guys and also, you know, see what comes next. So thank you so much for being here and sharing all of this. I think it's I don't know, a real testament to how you run your business and why it's so, I don't know, if I wanted to do this, like you guys are the kind of folks I would want to buy from because it would make it so much easier than any other way. So thank you guys. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Katy. Thanks everyone.
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.